we actually won some money. Did you know that?
Did we?
Yeah, let me read out our messages. You say, yo, we won the NADCL thing. We splitting the 80, I think, bucks, or do I keep them? And I said, nah, keep it. In exchange, I get 0.1% of your TI winnings.
Nah.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of All Chat, where this time around, I have avoided doubling up on having people from the same team on the episode, because I figured, you know, it would be nice to be able to talk to other people most of the time. So, Jabbz, you're the first one to, I think, double up on this show. And I think it's celebration of you guys winning a tournament. Also, because Aiden really wanted you on the show. He has asked like 5 times now.
Really? I don't believe that.
I think I've asked a few times. I think I said you'd be good
on his hands and knees.
True.
He prostrated himself and begged. Every land we go to, there's like an Aiden begging session.
W.
And then I go to link your Twitter and put it on the overlay, and I see that your profile picture is Aiden.
It is.
Jack Sparrow Aiden with the goatee.
Yeah.
I'm not logged into Twitter. I'm not logged into Twitter.
Yeah, I don't really use Twitter anymore either. But every like once in a while I open it, and then I had like a really old picture, and then I just took the best picture that I had at the moment, which was Aiden with a mustache, looking sad.
All right, well, congrats, I guess, for winning PGL Wallachia. I'm going to start off with the same question I asked last time. Aiden, are you guys back? Because when you won last Wallachia, I asked, are you guys back? Because we talked about how you guys were having so many issues, and then you guys won a tournament. I was like, are you guys actually back, or what happened there? And you said, absolutely not.
I think Blitz Dota is back next tournament, so absolutely not back.
Okay, can we actually talk about that? What is it with you guys always winning tournaments when Blitz isn't there?
I mean, it's like everyone tries really hard when William's gone. It's just like the motivation levels are 4 times as high when there's no Blitz Dota at the event. That's just
why is that?
Simply, I don't know. That's just the way it is.
It's like a rare occasion, you know.
So, no. It's like instead of playing like 20 pubs, we play like 25. You know, we're really putting in effort, like as a team.
I mean, that's a 20% increase.
Wow.
Yeah,
it is.
Actually, I heard
25%.
Even Saber flamed us recently that none of us are playing pubs on a stream. I heard that from a guy that recognized me at the gym today, so I know Saber's caught. Like I wouldn't make
the guy at the gym said that Saber flamed you?
Yeah, he said Saber shit talked like our entire team, that he's the only one that tries, and we're just like getting carried by him.
I mean, he's not wrong, you know.
Hello. Okay, bring Nisha on this episode.
Were you mid-workout at the time?
No, I was like leaving.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say maybe he was trying to give you motivation for, you know, the set that you were on, but maybe not.
So. He PB'd right after.
Yeah. No, I actually don't know why we do better. I think just maybe it's like actually Wallachia. We like the format. Maybe it fits like, you know, it's like 1 series a day. It's not that like exhausting, I think. And you have a lot of prep time, which I think kind of benefits us. Get to see our opponents, and there's a lot of games that are played, so we get to like watch the tournament play out and get ideas to steal from others. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I think that's for sure true in some degree, because this tournament, I spend a lot of time watching the group stage games, and I feel like there's a lot of time between them because we play 1 a day, like Aiden said. And me not being in Rally, it helped me a lot, at least, to get back into understanding the meta.
Now, Jabbz, last Wallachia, it was you and Nisha drafting, right? But then I saw Wallachia, the team was making a big deal about you were drafting for this one. So what was the split for last Wallachia and this one?
I mean, last Wallachia, we had like a week before to kind of prepare and figure out who's drafting. And we decided like Nisha's gonna click, and I'm gonna help him like prepare the drafts. Throughout the tournament, it was usually that I would like look at the teams and I would like set up an idea and then present it to Nish, and he would just like say yes, go into the draft, and then in the draft he would like change up one or two things based on how he feels. And I thought it was really good because he's like obviously better at the game than me, so in certain situations it's much easier for him to adapt and pick the correct things. And then this Wallachia, we didn't have that week of preparation because everyone kind of came from America, and obviously Nish came from home, and he didn't want to draft anymore. And so we had the problem of like who's going to draft with me. And we tried out like Aiden was drafting some in scrims, Mika was drafting, and he was drafting for like the first 2 official matches as well. And then he just said like he doesn't feel it right now. He really doesn't want to do it. So then I took over kind of, and I just said, okay, if you don't feel it, I can do it, but I've never done it before, so we'll have to see how it goes. And yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to get ready for spend even more time trying to get ready for the next day's matches, because I was in the start a little bit nervous having to have full responsibility and like actually clicking, and I didn't really want to like run out of time or do stupid mistakes. So I tried to prepare myself nicely, and then I just ran it, and I guess it worked. Yeah.
Hmm.
Was that y'all's first time ever having a non-player click the buttons?
Yeah, I think there's no way William will ever do it.
Okay, so who's clicking at Blast?
Good question.
We don't know.
Interesting. So it's TBD?
It's
It is.
TBD.
It is TBD.
I see. So Aiden, from your perspective, how was it having non-player clicking? Were you like, no, not this hero, no?
I actually really like Jabbz' process. I think he's like very logical, and he likes to like kind of explain out his thoughts, but he does it in like a very nice and summarized way. Because during the draft you don't really have time to explain things too much, but he kind of shares it, and then you can like really get on board with his vision. I mean, obviously we won, so it's like everything I'm gonna say is like very biased, but I think
Sure.
that part was like super nice. And I also think the biggest thing was after series or after games, you have someone that wasn't playing make the main like drawbacks. Like I think Nish did a great job drafting, but like for sure, the conversation would circle more around like how his hero functioned in the draft than anything. And when Jabbz did it, it was a bit more just like everything. I think it was like you kind of had like focus on different things, and it wasn't as like biased as if I'm drafting, it was like obviously because I when I drafted in the scrims that Jabbz mentioned, I like made sure I got Tinker every game. I didn't care if I'm giving up like every broken hero in the game. I wanted to play Tinker, so that's what we're gonna do. And my offlane is just playing against Nature's Prophet every game, or like some shit like this. And then I just think when you have non-player draft, it just ends up like if they do a good job and they understand Dota well enough, I think it's probably like the best thing you could have, because you're also unaffected by like the emotions of playing the game.
Do you feel like that's true for the previous clickers that you've had? 33, Matamba Man, Zai. Do you feel like the draft always was a little bit like oriented around their hero?
It's hard to say a bit, but I think like subconsciously, yes. Like you do it no matter. Like everyone does it. Like when I drafted, I'm sure I did. I'm sure I thought a lot about like what moves can I make? Is my lane gonna be good? How do I like set up the game to be nice for me? And it's just part of like what you think makes a good draft. You're always gonna have that kind of bias, I think.
Yeah.
Well, Jabbz, that's pretty sick that you basically the team was out of options. You had to step in, and I mean, you used to be a competitor as a player, and so you stepped up into that spotlight. And do you feel like there was any rough parts? You said you were nervous at the start. Was there any draft or game that you look back and you're like, "Oh, I fucked that one up,"
I mean, for sure. I mean, obviously, for me, game 3 and 4 in the finals, I know exactly where the issue was. But the problem is I knew it in the draft too. But once I had made the mistake, it was like too late to fix it. Because especially for the last series for the finals, I'd set myself some almost like rules what to avoid and what to not, like what kind of trap not to fall into, because it's very easy to, in the draft, obviously everyone's talking and you get the input from all the players. And I do want to always respect that input, but if I have like this vision of this is how we're supposed to do it, and especially because we had played Pari in the upper bracket before, I kind of knew like what I could learn from that. And yeah, so I mean, some of the mistakes I for sure noticed immediately, but I think the bigger issue was that I think it took like a physical toll on me almost, like because maybe I was nervous or maybe I had like felt like I had a lot of responsibility. I think because of that, my system, like my body, like kind of shut down a little bit, and I was kind of ill for most of the event, and even like now afterwards, I'm still recovering. And I think that's, to be honest, mostly like for me, usually these kind of things happen when it's like a high pressure, high stress situation, and I think that was like some little like bonus on top that came in the middle of the tournament that suddenly now I have to take this huge responsibility as well. So I think it's mostly that. But yeah, I felt like very methodical in my drafts, and I think the games, the way they played out, they actually played out the way I imagined them to, which was also very satisfying. And at the same time, we kind of used a similar concept in the last Wallachia, and in the start, people always said like the drafts were like not good, but we were still winning. But I think the drafts kind of looked like I wanted them to look like, and that's why some of these games look really odd, and then we still have a way to come back because it was just different priorities. I said for the draft, kind of where early game might have not been that important because I know that we're like better in other stages of the game.
Yeah, I wanted to go to that. You guys got smashed in lanes a lot. I didn't watch the whole tournament, but obviously that was a big part of that finals. I'll be honest, I thought you guys were fucked. I was like, I didn't see that game one. I think I saw the end of game two, and then I looked back and I saw how the lanes went, and then I saw game three, and I was like, oof, this is a rough trend. And then I saw game four, I was like, these guys are just getting smashed in lanes over and over again. What can we talk about? What was that a draft thing? Was that just like Pari Vision just better at lanes right now? Like, what was going on?
I mean, if I'm being real, I think it's the consequence of not playing Dota 2 like pubs for a little bit too long.
Yeah. So there's like a few factors. One being that I don't actively look for the best lanes in the drafts usually. Sure. Like I want to find like a nice balance between like getting through lane and then having like a good game. And sometimes maybe I went a little overboard. But I think the other factor is, like Aiden said, some games were just played not that nicely, I suppose. And I was kind of limited in what I could pick because some of the guys just did not play a lot of games. So I had to kind of work around that and find solutions how to win the game without just relying on like smashing lanes and then going from there.
Well, it worked out in the end. You guys had a hype final. Is this the first good final you guys have had?
No,
like,
stop.
Final?
We're not gaming gladiators. We are not gaming gladiators. Don't lump us in with them. It's them. It's not.
We had
us.
a 5-game series against y'all.
They had a 5-game series.
It's gaming that ruins finals, not us.
We had a 5-game against you.
Well, in Dream League
you
back
were
in the day.
there. Yeah, in Dream League. I cannot believe we won that one. Jeez Louise.
That was on a brand new patch too, like one day after the patch.
Yeah,
so
that was the
yeah.
Unreal Tech in Dream League.
No, nobody dropped any items or anything during that time.
It was that dude. We lost. You remember the heckin' Dagon Necrophos Bots 2 crap or whatever? We lost that game with the Nyx, Ricky, garbage.
That was good days.
That was the best game.
I was convinced Bots 2 is gonna become meta after that game because like both Ace and Zai bought it like every game, and then it just disappeared forever. No one ever like did it again.
Crap is a mess, man.
No, but we did have another good grand finals. The one in Peru against OneWin was also 5 games. Last game was super close too, and somewhat of a comeback. So we can make good finals, I think.
That's true. This one going to game 5, if you were already feeling a bit, if the nerves and the pressure was kind of getting to you, how were you feeling watching that game 5? Because I've always heard that like coaches. Like being a coach is a rough spot because you have no control over what's happening, right? You are just as invested as the players, but you have no control. You hit the draft and you walk away, and you just have to watch the consequences of what happens for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. In this case, 72 minutes. So what was watching that game 5 like? Especially since I know you're playing up against Fire Vision. I know what's happening in that coach booth. I know SKD's going, let's go! He's screaming the whole time.
Vamos!
Yeah. I mean, actually, he didn't scream until the one time we threw top, but he did scream very, very loud then. No, but actually, I don't know what it is, but it was the same at the last Wallachia. I feel like I completely shut off my like emotions, and I'm just like I just detached myself from the result entirely, and for me, it was more like the draft, like the few seconds after the draft when I'm leaving, like what feeling do I have about the game? And I think game 5, I felt really, really happy about the draft. So I was just kind of like, okay, now I'm done. Now I can chill. Like the event for me is over once the draft ends. Now, like it's out of my hand. I kind of think about it that way. I wasn't really nervous about winning or losing. It was more like now, whatever happens, and I'll just sit here and enjoy the show. And we had a really, really, really long day too. So I was kind of just like lying in the sofa watching the game, and it was looking good. And then maybe I got a little nervous once we started throwing, but I trust it, I trust it.
Aiden, anything else you want to say about that finals?
No, not really. Pari is a good team. They probably won 4 out of 5 games. But lost anyway. That's all.
I'm curious, how did that finals feel? Like, do you walk away from finals with a specific like, we won because of this reason or lost because of that reason, or this was the key to it, or do you like attach like an emotional quality to the finals, like this one felt better, or like how did the final feel for you?
Yeah, because you were losing to Perry Vision a lot, right? This has been a bad matchup for you guys, so to beat them in the finals had to feel pretty good.
No, I felt really good. This one, like winning this one felt, for me at least, better than winning the last one. Like a lot better. Like the feeling at the end of the final was like super, super nice. I mean, to me, I don't know. I've had this feeling for a while, and I guess ever since like the last Wallachia, where I feel like when we manage to get our heroes right and we get our priorities correct, the games feel quite easy to play. And I feel like this tournament just once again reaffirmed that to me, where like when we manage to get in our groove, I think we're like very, very good. But I think we sometimes don't really have a good grasp of what that means for us. And when we grasp that, like when we have a good understanding of it, we tend to do well. And that's like my biggest like takeaway from it, really.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like the conclusion for me.
Quinn, you watched most of this tournament, I assume?
On and off.
Okay.
I was in NA on break for like the first chunk of it, and then I got back to EU and like we're scrimming and stuff. So I'm watching games here and there. I didn't watch the finals live. I watched them back. But yeah, it's on and off.
Okay, I guess I had I'm kind of in the same boat as you, but I felt something about this tournament, not the two teams in the finals, obviously, but I did kind of feel like, am I crazy to say I feel like a lot of teams were not really up to shape in this tournament?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, they might have a different perspective, but I mean, BetBoom lost to Tidebound, which I don't think should happen. Yep. And then Spirit also lost to Tidebound, which I don't think should happen. And I'm also like a Tidebound fan. Like I think they're a cool team and I like their players, but like I feel like both of those teams probably should have beat Tidebound on paper. I also feel like BetBoom losing to Aurora is insane. I don't know. There was a lot of like watching from the outside. I was like, what the heck is happening with this bracket?
Yeah, and Tundra goes to the final 3 with a stand-in, right? With Midwind, who, I haven't seen him play in 2 years, I think, or something like that. So
yeah, and then Neta comes back and they had clapped, and it's just, I don't know, it was a weird tournament in that regard for sure.
Yeah, you guys didn't actually play against Midwind, right? Because
we did.
33 was back. Oh, you did.
We played them in upper bracket. We were the first match to play them with Midwind. And then the first match to play them with Neta again, which was for me like super annoying because suddenly there's like a new player with literally zero information, and now you can't see Pobs anymore either. So like I looked up, he apparently did like stand in for Tundra. I didn't even realize this. He stood in for Tundra, I think the first Wallachia or something. And that was like his last match, and he played mid there. So it's interesting preparation process for that one for sure.
Yeah, do you guys know what's going on there with Tundra? So Moon Meander is taking a break, and Mid One is stepping in as a coach for the team, and then he had to stand in for 33 for this tournament.
I mean, I think Moon was there at the end.
Oh, okay.
So when Neda was, how was it? At some point, Moon came, and he was coaching. I think there was probably some stuff he had to do privately, and he joined the tournament later.
Okay.
So I guess they just needed like a standard that can both coach and play. So, but yeah, actually looking back to your question about how we felt about the teams at the tournament, I made this comment to the team as well during the tournament that it felt like a lot of the teams are just kind of like picking heroes that where there's not much thought being put, and it felt like they just give us everything we want, and we can kind of just ban whatever they want to play. And I felt that way until kind of Pari, which was a really strange feeling because it felt pretty simple before. And I do think that in general, a lot of teams right now are kind of, not only at this tournament, but in the last few tournaments, there's like a lot of teams are not peaking. And there's always like one or two teams that are peaking, and they just get top 1, top 2, top 3. And my personal like thought is it's probably because of the sheer amount of tournaments that are being played. And I think people just like, they're just kind of like half-assing a lot of the tournaments, because if you put in a lot of effort into one, then the next one you're going to be too tired to play because it's straight after. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I feel like that we're just kind of reaching this mid-season lull before we get to Riyadh and TI, right? Like we're in the last couple of tournaments, and then we're going to have like what looks to be like almost like a month-long break. I don't know if there's going to be other tournaments that pop up or some online stuff, but there's going to be some sort of break, and then Riyadh happens, and obviously that's pretty important for most teams. So yeah, that is pretty interesting, and I guess we'll see how that affects the upcoming tournaments in Blast, which, Quinn, you guys are going to be in. You guys were scrimming, getting ready. How do you feel like, what kind of shape do you feel like you're in right now?
Right now, not incredible, but we kind of just started not that long ago. After like I was in Raleigh, and then everybody else kind of took a break because I was in Raleigh. We're not scrimming and stuff, so
yeah,
we're sort of starting to get back into it. At the end of the day, like it's kind of unlikely we get invited to TI, so like we need to like win one of these events to get invited to TI. Otherwise, we're probably playing qualifiers. So it's like while winning one of these events would be huge, not having to play TI qualifiers would be very nice. At the end of the day, like it's kind of about the end of the year, so I think we're just trying to fix problems and improve. And like if we're not like goats right now, it's fine. You know, we sucked the whole year. There's no reason we can't like suck a little longer and then be good when it counts. So just trying to improve and keep fixing stuff, build a foundation for the last tournaments.
Yeah, one of the teams that Wallachia felt like I actually just in general, right? This team I feel like has not hit their peak for quite some time. Falcons, you stood in for them for Raleigh. How was that?
It was really fun. I mean, I've stood in for EG a couple times in the past, and so I just like standing in. I think it's fun. You just vibe and you play the game, and like I'm also I've worked with Aoi before. I've stood in for Andreas multiple times. Like I'm friends with a lot of people in that team. So for me, it's like super chill. Like I'm basically just going and hanging out with my friends, and like I don't have to fix problems either. If there's problems in the team or we lose games and stuff, it's like they talk about stuff and I just sit there and I'm like, if I mess up, I would say, yeah, my bad, I should have done this better, or whatever, right? I take accountability where it's needed, but like it's not my job to fix the holes. If there's big gaping holes in the boat, I'm not putting the duct tape down. They're putting the tape. So I'm just chilling and enjoying the view, watching the sunset as we can crash over the waves. That's and it's a cozy POV. I mean, it sucks to lose, obviously, and I wish we got further because I think we were like pretty good in groups, and then some stuff messed up and we kind of bombed out. But that was a bit sad, but it was a good time regardless. Like I had a lot of fun playing them. They're a fun team and like a fun group of guys.
I imagine standing in for a team is pretty interesting because we've talked about this, how there are concepts of the game, right? And teams have ideas that they kind of build around. Do you feel like you learned anything from your time on Falcons or got a new perspective on the game?
A new perspective, yeah. I think you pick up little things here and there. I think for the most part, a lot of teams have pretty similar ideologies about the way the game is played. I mean, there will be differences here and there, and every team has like something that they do. They think they know better than other teams. Like, oh, we do this thing, and people don't know about that. That's the thing we keep secret, you know. So there may be some aspect to the way they play that they just like passively know that they don't talk about when I'm on the team, right? Because this is the one thing that they think they know better, right? And so they're not going to talk about that thing. But like everything else is like, you know, like they're pretty open. I'm pretty open. Like it's a, you know, we're all trying to win there, right? It's not like it's like two parties like trying to keep secrets, really. Like it generally felt open. I didn't feel like they were trying to keep something from me, you know. And I didn't really try to keep stuff from them. But it is interesting to see how people like do things differently, even like apart from the Dota, just how things operate, how people talk, how in-game and out-of-game feels, how soon after a loss do people talk, you know, like how does the atmosphere, who fixes the atmosphere, stuff like that, leadership, all those things are like just very interesting to see done in different ways.
Fair enough. Aiden, have you ever stood in for anybody or Jabbz?
I don't know if I have in Dota. Not like a tier 1 team. I haven't been a mercenary for a long time.
Yeah,
Jabbz, what about you?
I think when I was like at the Bozo level, I would stand in for other teams. Like there was like a top son Illidan team that I stood in all the time for. But other than that, I mean, I guess I stood in for our own team, which I'm not sure if that really counts because it's just our own team. But yeah.
We actually played together on some NADCL thing. Do you remember that?
NADCL, like you mean like the in-house leagues or an actual team?
Yeah, I don't think it was actual team. It was some sort of in-house thing.
Yeah, for sure. I used to play a lot in NA. I mean, I used to play on like Iceberg Esports with like Clairvoyance and those people.
Yeah. We actually won some money. Did you know that?
Did we?
Yeah. Let me read out our messages. You say, "Yo, we won the NADCL thing. We splitting the 80, I think, bucks, or do I keep them?" And I said, "Nah, keep it. In exchange, I get 0.1% of your TI winnings."
But read the next message.
Well, he says, "I wish, man." I said, "This is my investment in you, TY." And then you go on and talk about university and stuff.
Did he pay? Did he pay?
Yeah, why he didn't? Where's my 0.1%?
I honestly do not remember this. But this
Did Jabbz pay up or what? Did Jabbz pay up?
Oh, no,
maybe I have to.
Because neither one of us remembered this mess. I only knew about this because I sent him the link to the call.
That's
so funny. That's our last conversation. Yeah, 6 years ago.
2019. Yep.
Crazy.
I thought that was pretty funny. What is this Gabin black hole thing you guys are talking about?
I feel like Quinn has to intro it.
Okay, so there was a backdoor on the Dota client that I was told about like 2 days ago. Aoi messaged me and was like, "Yo, do you know about this thing?" And he sent me it, and it was a site that has all pubs and all scrims on it. So some Russian site where you can like look up everyone's scrims and pubs. Like every team, every player, like all scrims and pubs are public. And so this was found out a couple days ago. Valve was told, and then it was fixed the same day. But you know, there's questions like, okay, how long was this out for? How long did people know? Have people been using this since the thing came out? Because you know, there are rumors that some teams knew about this earlier than other teams. So who knew? How long did they know?
But how come they didn't find any scrim or pub information on Team Liquid?
That's
Gaben's
a good
hole
question.
had a big gaping hole in it. No info on Team Liquid.
There was a hole in his hole.
There was a hole in his hole. Collusion?
Either this professional team isn't practicing at all, or it's a larger conspiracy in which Team Liquid is bribe somebody not to put their information out there.
It must be the bribe thing, right? Because Liquid has so much money and they just like buy all the players in CS. So I think that must be the case. Liquid is just paying off Gabin's soul.
That was my hypothesis. But yeah, it was like the guy put like a message. It was like, this is what next time you try to hide everyone's games, make sure you do a better job that someone like an amateur like me can't find a way in. And the website was called Gabin's Hole. And then like he said like, and thanks for making a great game that everyone loves. And he put his like name as like heckin' like Fernando Loco or something. I don't know.
Pretty funny.
It's based, dude.
It did get taken down so quick though. I was kind of
surprised. It did get taken on the same day.
I was ready for this to be just up for weeks, to be honest.
What would you guys even do at that point?
I don't know.
I mean, I players did not scrim at all, obviously. So
I wonder because like there was the day where everyone found out about it, I presume, and I wonder like how much people were like scanning through like when they found out or whatever, like because I didn't look at all. I didn't look at a single team's games, but I wonder like the extent that which people were like, oh shoot, and they just, like heckin' screenshotting and like I wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some people check more than others.
Yeah. I mean, I checked for if our scrims are on there. First, I checked by match ID, and it just showed up. And then I like clicked on one of our players and scrolled through, and they're just all there. And then I was like, that is unfortunate. But what can you do?
Do you feel like that scrim info being out there, how impactful do you think that is? Let's say it's a week old, right? Do you feel like that's very impactful if a team was to look at that and study you guys for, let's say, Blast, right? Do you feel like if you guys didn't know about it, let's just say you guys didn't know about it, there was some team still studying that stuff, right? Do you feel like how impactful do you feel like that would be for what would impact the most? Would it be the drafting? Would it be the drafting of the game?
Yeah. I don't think the play really matters. Like people just try their best in scrims and like officials, whatever. Like people just want to win. I mean, they don't try their best in scrims, but like they're trying. It's not like it's not like people going like, oh, we're gonna try this different way of playing the map in the scrim. Like that, at least from my experience, that's not really a thing that happens.
Right. The same info you're getting off of those scrims when it comes to gameplay is going to be the same info you get off of their matches, right?
Yeah, they're going to do whatever they think is best in matches. But it is a pretty big advantage if no one else has any information that you go into this tournament knowing what they're practicing, because you can just alter your bans, and it's pretty unfair info.
I think it's actually, even now in this like era of having no info on public games, it's super big because usually you're completely blind now going into the tournament, and you need like the group stage to give you info on teams. So like the first days of your tournament are for sure going to be super impacted. Everything after, I think, is like a little bit less. But I guess the good thing about this leak was that it was only like the statistics. You couldn't check the replays or anything. So
I gotcha. Well, that's pretty crazy. I guess that is I guess somewhat expected off of the change Valve put. Are you guys feeling that change, by the way? Your pub information not being readily accessible. I have to imagine you guys felt it playing against Parivision, playing against 9 Class specifically. I feel like this guy was very impactful for the tournament for Parivision. Obviously, he has the most eclectic hero pool of any 4.
Mm-hmm. I mean, personally speaking, for draft, I think actually, funnily enough, against Party, it's somehow less impactful than other teams, because I think some players only play like specific heroes, and if you know in advance what they play, you can just ban them out. But I think for 9 Class, it's like, okay, you ban this hero, he'll just pick another hero. He'll play like TA4. I don't think 9 Class is like good because of like necessarily the hidden heroes he plays. It's like he can just play some complete random ass hero and enable like his other teammates to play what they want. So I think for Pari, I didn't feel it as much, but like for other teams where, especially starting in a tournament, you're just gambling your bans because there's literally zero info.
What about from a play perspective, right? Because you're not used to playing against TA4 in games unless you just happen to run it a 9 Class, because I don't know who else is playing that.
Okay, I think my
I know
gameplay
Foxy
against TA
tries to
was.
do like the Slark and stuff, but
I mean, I don't think he knew what he was doing on the TA. That was the problem. Okay, I had no clue what was happening in my lane. He had like, just like the innate genius of a player. I actually, Nightclass to me is like one of the coolest players in the scene right now because I actually think like he has this like really cool idea of how to play the map and how to like abuse the map that I think is kind of like unmatched. I think a lot of people like Saxa also plays the Slark, Boxy also plays Slark, and they do it well. But I feel like when
Mhm.
Nineclass does it, it's just something else. It just feels like because I don't know if you know this, but this guy used to be like one of those like original techie spammers.
Yeah,
Like
he's like the Giga Techies nerd.
yeah. So like, and I feel like I used to think back then, if you want to play this hero, you have to have like an unreal understanding of macro gameplay and how people move on the map because you're setting up mines like minutes in advance to where people are gonna go, right? So I feel like whatever that did for his gameplay, he's like now applying that kind of like understanding of macro to play heroes that abuse it, and it's just beautiful to see. So like whatever the TA, I mean, I just fed him a lane and the game was over, and like that's that. But it has nothing to do with it. But I think like that's what makes him. I think you could play any hero so long as it has like a way to influence the map, and he will be high impact. And I think it's like
Mm.
kind of like Jabbz says. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I think that dude is fucking. Don't always agree with the way he behaves and stuff, but like as a player, he's really really cool.
I guess what I'm learning from that is that Slacks should pick up Slark 4 position.
I mean, if he was like a top 100 ranked techies player in the Europe, then yeah, do it. I'm not sure the same applies if you're like 5k MMR, Omni Knight, techies
I
player.
feel like Slark 4 at like non ultra high immortal is like 10% win rate or something. Like just the most abominable crap.
Yeah. It's probably not that good.
But to be fair, even at lower MMRs, you can just hit wards, and you're probably gonna win the game solely off of that.
But they don't look.
But they don't look
So
at minimap.
you're killing stuff doesn't matter. They don't look at the wards.
I guess that's true.
It's literally just like you run back and forth down mid as 5 heroes, and like you feed at their base, and they run down mid and feed at your base, and you do that like 6 times until somebody's PC shuts off.
Ay.
All right. Well, anything else you guys want to talk about? Looking forward, upcoming tournaments, blast.
Did nothing happen? I think nothing's happened in Dota. Okay, wait, hold up. Actually, I have an important topic. Did you and SVG talk about anything in your podcast that we could steal?
That's good.
I opened up your guys' podcast for like 10 seconds, and guess what SVG was talking about?
You're talking about the fact that you steal all his content?
That Quinn steals
For
all his
us.
content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said Quinn specifically that you spit on him at Raleigh.
I spit on him.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So after hearing this, I was like motivated to steal more
Do it
content.
more?
Yeah. So what else? What did you guys talk about over there?
Listen, I can't do this. Avery will get mad at me. All right. All
Like,
right.
for real?
I'm gonna be spending a month with him in Europe. All right. You know, I can't afford for this to start off rocky already. You know.
Well,
Okay,
let's say. All right, go ahead.
Nah, I mean, I was gonna talk about something else. Go ahead.
No, I had nothing.
Okay, I was gonna say on an unrelated note, I think Raleigh was really fun and cool, and even though it's unlikely and for a lot of practical reasons, it's not very good. I think events in NA are dope. I think the crowd was good and like full, like pretty much every day, and the vibes are good. And I don't know. I think Raleigh was also a cool city. Like I like the tournament a lot. I think it was really fun being there.
Yeah, it's funny. NA has turned into an agnostic region because there are no NA teams left. So now it's kind of like going to see where it's like people are just cheering because they just enjoy Dota and maybe they like one team or more than the other. But you know, like for the most part, they don't have like a home team to cheer for so much anymore. So it's the crowd was really good. Yeah, great event.
Yeah, I'll agree. We even did we did 2 slamming sessions. I've never done that before because I think people were so cool. So I full agree.
Yeah, I've only heard good things. Personally, I wasn't there, but then everyone had told me after it was super fun and super nice, and I missed out. So should have it again, so I can actually go there too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also nice just having crowd events because
Yes.
I mean, for
yes.
sure.
that is
For
something
sure,
that like
yeah.
I don't love the trajectory of Dota right now.
Yeah.
I know PGLs did their big announcement, like we're doing Dota until like 2028 or something like that.
Yeah.
I really hope they start throwing in some crowd events, right? Because they are like it's ESL and it's PGL, right? PGL is supposed to be the yang to the yin of ESL, right? I
Ooh.
just hope they start doing crowd events because I'm getting a little tired of these studio broadcast, right? Because we got Dream League. I'm beginning to feel like as a viewer, a lot of these tournaments are the same, right?
Yes.
Even if there is a format difference, the fact that they're always studio broadcasts, there's like a little bit of change in talent there and stuff like that. But it's like I just kind of feel like it's the same over and over again.
It's
Yeah.
very Groundhog Day. Like I was talking about this, I can't remember with who, but like I think part of the allure and spectacle of Dota, like either playing or watching, is like, oh, it's in this random place, and there's like, I don't know, there's like a different crowd, and like different teams play differently. You know, it's a hometown, you know, series for this team or whatever. Like there used to be, I remember the Optic year, right? Like it was like there's an event in Poland, and there's an event in Malaysia, and the Philippines, and like there's an event in Romania, and like and the US, and like I don't know, there was like events everywhere, and like a lot of them had crowds. You know, there was like Starladder back in the day and stuff that always had a crowd, even if it was a small one, right? And I think, like, I mean, I understand why people don't do it. I think financially it doesn't make the most sense in a lot of cases, but I do think the tournament watching and playing and like doing talent for feels way more special and substantial, and like you're actually a part of something and doing something compared to like clock in 9 to 5, ding ding. Like I got my paycheck, I go home, you know, because that's how the studio tournaments feel. Is you feel like, all right, go there, we try our best. Oh, we won, cool. We didn't win, okay. Well, what can you do? And you go back home, and it's like it feels like nothing happened.
I fully agree, and I think on our side of like us, like players, staff, talent, I think another thing that really makes it a little monotone is the fact that it's always the same locations, the same hotels, the same like path from the hotel to the studio. It's like it really starts to feel like a job when you just don't see people to interact with, like fans and stuff. I agree. I think some switch up would be very healthy for the scene, because if you do this for a few more years, I think just studio every month, 1-2 events, I think people get really bored. I'm not sure how the viewer numbers are, but I know a lot of my friends barely even watch the tournaments anymore because they're just all the same and they blend together.
All that
Yeah,
being
I know,
said, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that my biggest push is like I hope PGL does it, because obviously they're one of the more prolific tournament organizers, and I know for the ESL side, it is a financial loss to do these like stadium events, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think ESL, like I've talked to them, their approach is like they have Dream League, right, and they have ESL 1, and they balance each other out, right? One is a financially like, you know, pretty decent project, and the other one is not, right? And they help sustain each other, right?
Yeah.
You have Dream League. The Dream League leads into ESL 1, right? You get the hype of ESL 1, but you get a more financially solvent project in Dream League, right? And they feed each other in that regard. And that's what I hope. I hope PGL does that with Cluj, right? Because I don't know if you guys follow Counter-Strike so much, but they do Cluj Napoca, right? They just did a Counter-Strike event there recently. It was a great event. I was watching it. It was a great event. The crowd was amazing. And I know Romania is it's a city in Romania.
Oh, okay.
Right. And that's kind of been like their spot for any sort of Romanian crowd events. And I hope they bring Dota to Cluj, because I think that would be just a nice addition. Even just one event, you know, a year, I think would be a nice improvement. I think Blast is supposed to be doing, I know Blast wants to do crowd events. So they've been doing studio events, and they're, I believe, going to do a crowd event, a stadium event at some point in time. So that'll also help things if Blast does that. Fisher did do one, but then they seem to be going back to their online tournament stuff, which is a little disappointing. I don't know. I hope they do more stadium stuff as well. But I think one of the biggest laws you mentioned, Quinn, was the Southeast Asia. We had these C orgs throwing tournaments, right, in Southeast Asia, and any event in C is always going to have a crowd, right? It just makes way more sense to throw a stadium event there. And so
Yeah.
these random C events that we would go to all the time, you know, there would always be. I remember like Manila Masters, and one of my like favorite memories of C tournament. It was a fantastic event. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I also like, I don't say this to be like players deserve this crap, or like, you know, people need to run at a loss to do these tournaments, or like this is mandatory or whatever. Like at the end of the day, tournament organizers are trying to run a business. They're trying to like stay afloat. And for a long time, Dota was even more of a money pit than it is now. It's still a money pit, but to less of an extent than it was back then. Like people can like sort of do okay these days, whereas back in the day it was like nonsense. Like people just setting money on fire. And so like I totally get people are trying to make ends meet and like and make the thing sustainable. And so I think like Cap said, like, you know, a middle ground of like they do stuff that like makes a lot of sense financially, and then some stuff that is a labor of love. Because I think at the end of the day, like what Dota still feels like, or what people want it to feel like for a lot of people, is like it's the game that people really care about, and there's like people watch the game and play the game because the game is sick and the game is really cool, and they like that, they share that with people, right? And I think that's like what makes it feel special and stuff.
Yeah. And that's why Aiden and Quinn are putting themselves on the line here and saying that they are willing to cut $250,000 off of the tournament prize pools in exchange for having stadium events.
Yeah, 250 more, not counting the ones that go to orgs.
That's true. Get that ESL cut in there.
Oh yeah, we almost got kidnapped while we were in Romania. Our driver tried to take us to like, literally tried to drive us to Bulgaria.
What?
What?
Yeah. Like we were okay. So I thought about it when Jabbz said like, you know, every tournament's the same studio, same hotel, same drive, and then my brain just went like, oh yeah, except that's what you think's gonna happen. Yeah. So one time we got into the shuttle from like the hotel to the studio. It's about like I think 20-minute drive, and then with traffic, sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. And we got into this car, and our driver just like has been driving us for a while, and I know I look out the window and I'm like, I don't really recognize like any of this. And I have like a decent sense of like location. It's not like the best, not the worst. And I'm just like completely clueless on where we are. And then I have my AirPods in, so I'm not really paying attention. But then I see at some point Jabbz is like picking up his phone and he's like showing like Google Maps to our driver. And like trying to get our driver to go to like the studio. I mean, you know the rest of the story way better than I do.
Yeah, I mean,
That was my POV.
so it was like, I think we played like really early, and we played Falcons. This was the only series we lost, by the way. So I'm gonna blame that on that. But we're just like driving out immediately at the hotel. Like I'm always like looking out and I'm paying attention to where we're going. Immediately at the hotel, we're already going the wrong way. So I'm like kind of confused, but I'm like, okay, whatever. And then at some point, like I check and like we're going in the right direction. But I know at some intersection we have to like go right here. Otherwise, we're not going to the studio. And our driver just like no cares, just keeps going forward. And I like turn around, I look at Chloe, and she kind of looks at me and she's like, something is weird. And well, turns out we took like the highway kind of out of the city, and we just kept going and going and going. And at some point I was sure we're definitely not going to the studio. So I like looked over and I looked at her phone, the driver's phone. And not only did she not follow the GPS was also set to the wrong address. So it was like really, really odd. And so I'm giving it like a little bit more time because I'm like confused, but I'm worrying at this point that we're gonna be late and we're gonna get penalty or something. So we reach like the outskirts of the city. We're literally like in the suburbs at this point. And I kind of go for it, and I like, she doesn't speak English, so I just like show her my phone with like the address, and I point like, we need to go there. And then she's like, oh, okay. But the problem is, so she took the phone and she looked at the GPS, but again, she couldn't follow the GPS for some reason. So I had to jump to the front seat and kind of like point in the direction of like, oh, we need to go here, as if like I'm from Bucharest. But and then we reached this roundabout that we already took the wrong. We drove around this roundabout 3 times before we left the wrong way the first time. So we come back to this roundabout, and I know exactly which exit we have to take because I studied the map at this point. We head into the roundabout, and she immediately leaves like 1 too early. And I'm like, oh no. And I like go and I'm like, no, we need to go there. So she stops the car, like a giant van, like a Sprinter. And she just starts going backwards. The cars are just like going around us and we like go backwards into the roundabout.
What?
And then,
Yeah.
and eventually we make it into the roundabout, like we're super slowly, you know. And then I'm like literally pointing exactly where to go at this point. And literally the studio was like one right turn from like this exit. Like it was so simple. But yeah, it took us like an hour or something to get to the studio, and then we arrived and they were like, where were you? And we were like, yeah, we kind of just got kidnapped by our driver.
How
Yeah.
long does it normally take?
I think usually
20
it's like
minutes?
30 minutes actually. It's like 30
Okay,
minutes, and if you have
with traffic, it takes like an hour and a half.
yeah, with
minimum.
traffic it does take like an hour.
Sure.
It's kind of wild. You spend a lot of
Oh,
time
that's
in the
right.
shuttle
You
for
guys
this
are in the
event.
hotel in like the center of the city, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've heard about this.
When it
That's
hits
funny.
4 o'clock in Bucharest, you cannot drive anymore. It's over at 4 o'clock. 20-minute
That's
drive
true.
goes to an hour and a half. Just
Oof.
tack an hour at least on any drive.
You put out there's an article recently for Blast talking about you talking about retirement.
That's fake news. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, at some point you need to retire,
Okay.
and I'm not sure when that point is yet. If it's like very soon or just pretty soon, but obviously, like, it's not gonna happen. Like, it will be at the end of a TI. If it's this
Sure.
one or the next one or the one after that, I mean, I don't know, but it's like for sure in my thoughts. I just feel like there are other things in my life that I want to do, and if I want to do these things, I kind of need to consider the fact that I'm getting older and not like bored of Dota or anything, or that I don't like the game or stuff like that. It's more just like there's just more to life, I think, than playing this game. And I've been playing this game or a very similar game for the past 15 years for like 8 hours a day, and there's just more aspects to life that I want to explore. I did read some comments, so I'll just reply to some of them. Obviously, I would still want to be around Dota, even if not full time. So I'd probably do some events as talent if they would have me. If I were to retire, so you guys would still see me, just not as much probably.
I might be able to work you in 1 or 2 events a year. Don't worry about it.
I can do Riyadh and TI only.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's not really much else to it at the moment.
Can I ask what those things are? What are those real life things? You want to start a family?
I mean, I want to have kids someday. I think that's
Okay.
like the main thing, and
You feel like
obviously,
you can't or don't want to do it, because there are obviously players who have started families while they're still actively playing. You don't want to go that route.
I mean, I'm sure you can if you want to. I just, for me, like my parents were around a lot when I was a kid, and I would want to be there like from day one. And I feel like traveling like this is just absolutely not feasible. And I think the pressure it would put on Agnes would be like super not fair. And to me, that's just like it's never gonna happen as long as I'm playing. And yeah, simply put, that's like one thing. I think there's also stuff like we travel a lot, but I don't get to see like my family much. I don't get to see my girlfriend much, and like my parents are getting older. And there's stuff like that. I want to spend more time with them. I want to be around more. Kind of want to have like a bit more stability where like you have routines that you can like stick to. I mean, Quinn asked before we started, but for example, like for me, going to the gym while traveling is a lot harder. I feel like for me, it needs to be like a routine thing, and I have a hard time doing that when I'm like traveling around all the time. Just want to do like take care of myself a bit more, stuff like that. And yeah, I mean the main 2 factors I guess are just like spending more time with my parents and spending more time with Agnes, and then obviously down the line also do want to have kids.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Looking forward, I actually forgot to ask you, Jabbz. You stepping into the position, drafting, right? How long have you been with Liquid? 3 years? 2 years?
5 years.
5 years? It's been 5 years already?
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
It's crazy.
Do you ever want to be the head coach of the team?
I mean, I think so. I just think in this like current iteration of Liquid, I don't think it will ever be a thing.
Mhm.
But nowadays, I've been more and more thinking about like taking up offers from other teams because over the years I've received offers and I declined offers, and I feel like the more success we find and the more I like prove myself, like these events were
Mhm.
obviously super huge, the more I'm starting to get like serious offers by organizations that I actually find like realistic to leave Liquid for, because Liquid is obviously a very stable and very big org, and the people around me have grown very, very fond of them. So it's like a hard ask to leave. So it needs to be something like really solid and serious. But yeah, I've been thinking about it, and I've been talking as well to other teams, like with the knowledge of Liquid, obviously, about possible like scenarios. But nothing is set in stone. But I'm always open for it, and I think it would be like a nice, I guess, evolvement in my career because I've been assistant coach for many, many years now, and I think at this point I'm probably more experienced than a lot of like head coaches from other teams in the scene because I've been around for
Sure.
so long. So yeah, it's for sure something I'd like to do and I'm looking into.
Aiden, would you ever consider going down that route, coaching?
Coaching? Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Would have to be like a project that
Or
I
would
would
you
want to do.
rather do the Zai, right? Because you're talking about, like you don't want to travel so much. So obviously coaching is, would you rather be in that kind of position?
I think that would be fun. I think it's like a new skill set to learn a little bit. I think coaching in some ways would be coaching as a player. I think would be quite similar to playing in some ways because like it's still a lot of like Dota focus, and I think how I would approach it as a coach very different, obviously, than like someone like William that doesn't have a playing background the same way. I think you would kind of approach it as a player. So yeah, for sure, that kind of position would be very interesting. Like building rosters, helping like mix and match, that kind of stuff would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really decided what's next. I kind of will take that step when the day comes, I think.
Sure.
But obviously open to hearing ideas and seeing what's out there. I feel like at this point I've won TI as a player, I've casted the TI finals, and then doing it as a coach would be like completing the holy trinity.
Wow.
Then I could be like AUI.
That's right.
Quinn,
Always the goat.
Howie
Quinn,
is
what
the
are you
goat.
going to do after you're done playing?
Say that again.
What are you going to do after you're done playing?
I mean, I'll do talent most likely. I mean, like I've said it before, like a lot of my best friends, are in Dota, and so for me, working talent is just getting to hang around my friends and talking about the game is very easy. I played it all day, every day for 10 years or whatever. So like talking about the game, I can do in my sleep. That's free, So it's basically just like goofing around with my friends, which is like pretty chill. And then I also want to make. I mean, I've also talked about this on stream, but I want to make like a complete guide to Dota, like pro level information and the stuff that I believe makes you actually good. Like make the most complete guide to Dota that exists. I want to do that to like document the information I have before I forget it all.
Nobody said full-time streaming, huh?
I'm streaming Dota as hell. That's a
Why
means
don't
to
you
an
want to
end.
become a streamer, Quinn?
I mean, streaming non-Dota is cool, but streaming Dota is hell. So
No.
streaming Dota is a means to building enough of a stable viewer base that you can do the sing and you can bail. He's the only one who's done it successfully. Like that's the mold to follow. You build enough viewership base, you like play enough variety that you can eventually branch off and stop playing Dota full time, because playing Dota streaming full time is just agony. So I don't know how Gork and Koikfa do it. It boggles my mind. I mean, I guess you got to make the bread somehow, but geez Louise, I could not.
All right. Well, I think that's a good way to be able to end out the episode, talking about everybody's futures plans. Thank you for watching another episode of All Chat. Jabbz, thanks for coming on.
Wait, are you guys watching the cameras? Do you guys know this candy?
No, what is that?
It's like half licorice, half like raspberry.
Of Of course, it's licorice.
You need to have this. Next time you come to
Swedes.
Sweden, you need to have this.
It looks
Fucking
like
Swedes and their licorice.
it looks like some like baby from like Alien Covenant that's like they're like two of them and they're like hugging each other.
I was
it's supposed to
thinking
be a
more like a
skull.
proto-Neolithic symbol for fertility or something, or
I can see
like
that too.
yin and yang sort of deal. Yeah.
No, I feel like I would see this in like Dune or something, like and then they show the symbol. Digital game.
The thing is, I'm so ready for this entire episode to just be like me getting gangbanged by Cap and fucking Jabbz.
Put that in the pod, Craig. You heard that. Craig heard.